Bageled, booed. Alycia Parks silences Eala crowd in comeback win at AO26. Alycia Parks overcame a first-set bagel and a pro-Alexandra Eala crowd to win 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 at the Australian Open, silencing fans and showcasing resilience against tough odds. A first-set bagel. A partisan crowd. Nowhere to hide. Alycia Parks looked dead and buried early in her Australian Open first-round clash with Philippines trailblazer Alexandra Eala. But instead of folding, the American flipped the script, storming back for a stunning 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 win in front of a fiercely pro-Eala crowd on Monday. Bageled, booed, and then unbowed. Alycia Parks silences the roar in a Melbourne comeback. On a balmy Melbourne afternoon at the Australian Open 2026, a ripple of electricity coursed through Court 6, and it wasn't just from the blazing summer sun overhead. It was from a sea of waving Philippines flags, chanting supporters, and that rare, intoxicating blend of hope and expectation that only live sports can conjure. At the heart of it all was Alexandra Eala, the 20-year-old sensation from the Philippines, playing her first main draw match at a Grand Slam. Across the net stood Alycia Parks, a resilient American, calm, composed, and ready to weather whatever storm the crowd could muster. Few imagined just how epic this clash would become. The crowd, a stadium made of voices. Melbourne Park's Court 6 was jam-packed long before the first serve. Filipino fans, having heard of Eala's meteoric rise on the WTA Tour, converged en masse, creating queues that snaked back toward the Rod Laver Arena. Fans who understandably feared they might not even get inside to see her play. When the match finally began, it was clear this wasn't just tennis. It was a cultural celebration, an expression of national pride amplified by decades of yearning for representation at the highest level. Flags fluttered, voices roaring their support, as though every point won by Eala belonged to an entire nation. But in the fragile silence that tennis demands, this spectacle of support came with a price. Set 1. A bagel and a roar. From the first point, the energy was volcanic. Eala, clearly invigorated by the cheers, seized control immediately. Her ground strokes were crisp, precise, and filled with purpose. Parks, initially rattled by the noise and atmosphere, found herself falling behind. Game after game slipped away, as Eala wove her way to a first set 6-0, a bagel, sending the crowd into delirium. Court 6, already electric, erupted into chants and celebration with every game, every point. It was a fervor that few, players included, had ever experienced at this stage of the season. Some cheers came at inappropriate moments, during serves, between rallies, even on Parks' errors. Warnings were issued from the umpire, trying to restore the decorum tennis requires, but the vibe was overwhelming. For a moment, it felt like the match belonged to Eala, and to the ecstatic crowd that came with her. The turn, Parks finds her bearings. Yet tennis, like life, is unscripted. When the second set began, something shifted. Parks, though visibly rattled by the fervent crowd early on, began to settle. She reset her focus, recalibrated her strategy, and reminded herself that tennis isn't won by cheers alone, it's won point by point. Gone were the missed overheads and errant serves. Parks' powerful ground game and booming serve began to show their teeth. She sprinted to a 3-0 lead in the second, catching Eala just as the pressure of expectation began to build on the young star. Eala fought back to level the set at 3-3, but Parks' newfound rhythm proved decisive. She closed the set 6-3, much to the stunned, if gradually silenced, crowd's disbelief. Where once the atmosphere had been a celebration, it now buzzed with growing tension. The cheers, once unwavering, began to falter. A shift was occurring not just in the match, but in the momentum. Decider, silence falls, determination rises. The third set opened with Parks feeding off her momentum, racing to a quick lead. Eala, drained from the emotional roller coaster and the weight of expectations, found occasional brilliance but couldn't sustain the intensity that had characterized her opening surge. Parks' power and precision were now dictating terms on the court. With every passing game, the crowd's fervor, once a tidal force pushing Eala forward, became quieter, the cheers more tentative as Park's control tightened. In the climactic moments, it was Park's nerve and execution that took center stage. A backhand winner, hands firmly planted, brought the match to a close at 2-6, sealing her remarkable comeback. For the first time in hours, silence, the kind that settles in the stillness between a wow and an applause, fell over Court 6. The aftermath: a crowd silenced, not defeated. What followed was not bitterness, but profound respect. The crowd, initially chanting, "Let's go, Alexandra," and waving every flag in sight, was momentarily hushed, not by defeat, but by the astonishing resilience displayed by Parks. The American had not only battled her opponent but had navigated one of the most intense external pressures a player might face in this sport. Eala, too, embraced the moment with grace. Despite her disappointment, she lingered on court after the match, signing autographs for the fans who had come from near and far just to witness her moment. The applause she received was not muted by the loss. Instead, it was reaffirming, a reminder that sportsmanship transcends scoreboard outcomes. And though the crowd had been silenced at the match's end, their spirit remained undiminished, a testament to passion, pride, and the emotional release that only sport can deliver. More than a match. What transpired at Court 6 that day was more than just a first-round clash. It was a story of emotional highs and lows, of roaring support and crushing silence, and of athletic grit overcoming tumultuous conditions. For Parks, this victory is not just about advancing to the second round, it's a statement of mental toughness in the face of unapologetically partisan noise. For Eala, it's a moment of growth, one that will surely bolster her journey as she continues to inspire millions back home and around the world. And for the crowd, whether cheering every point or watching silently after the final one, this match will linger as a defining snapshot of tennis's capacity to unite, excite, and humble us all. The final score, 0-6, 6-3, 6-2, might suggest a routine comeback. But in reality, it captured something far richer, the unpredictable theater of sport, where emotion and skill intertwine, where noise can be both fuel and distraction, and where every player must navigate not only their opponent, but the heartbeat of those who watch them play. In Melbourne that day, a bagel, a booed crowd, and an unbowed competitor combined to create a story worth remembering, one defined by resilience, respect, and the thunderous heartbeat of competition itself.